The next demo that Mike's very excited for is by an accomplished sous vide cook, presenter, and cookbook contributor, as well as the co-founder and CEO of the International Sous Vide Association. He has helped organize more than a dozen sous vide conferences, including all three annual sous vide summits, or all four annual sous vide summits, which draw hundreds of attendees, speakers, and chefs from around the world. When he's not organizing international events, he's usually in the kitchen preparing meals for his wife to enjoy and two children to refuse to eat. He still has a tender spot in his heart for his first Sancerre sous vide machine that started him on this journey, and he has never met an animal he wouldn't like to eat. So please help me welcome Mike La Charite.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike La Charite with the ISVA, and earlier this year I was lucky enough to take the CREA Sous Vide at Precise Temperatures training at their headquarters in Sterling, Virginia. Really awesome weekend. I know some of our members have done it before. If you have the opportunity, it is just an incredible 3 days together. But one of my big takeaways from that time together was the ability to do stock sous vide. They did a quick demo on lobster stock, just using the shells and water, and man, the results just blew my mind. The intensity of the flavor in just a short, for sous vide short time was really mind-blowing. So the first question is, why would we do stock sous vide? Where does precision have a place in that? And I've done stocks for years just on the stove and the Instapot, and the Instapot is super great, or any pressure cooker really, to get that flavor out super fast. It's a great end result. But with sous vide, what I love about it is it's a gentle extraction. So it's not at that super high temperature. So it takes a while, but you end up with this super slowly extracted flavor, which to me ends up being much deeper. When I did chicken stock last week, I let my mother-in-law try it, and she said it was the chickeniest chicken stock she's ever tried. So that was pretty impressive to me. So really, just that kind of long, slow cooking time and being able to extract the flavors is the major benefit of doing it sous vide. I'm going to be using the Innova Precision Oven for mine. What I love about that is you can use these nice little, this is a third pan, and it's about 6 inches deep. Or if you're making a big batch, you can do the half pan, and you can fill this, put the lid on it, slide it right into the APO. You don't have to mess with bags. You don't have to mess with leaks or anything like that. Super convenient. So as you can see, just a little sampling of some of the stocks I've done here. So this is the lobster stock. That's about a 4-hour cook. You want to be careful with seafood because the longer you cook it, the more it pulls out flavor, right? That's what we use sous vide for, is to enhance flavor. But with seafood in general, it can start pulling out some of those fishy compounds that you don't really want in your stock. So I found about 4 to 5 hours or so is good for seafood. This is a vegetable stock. What I love about this, any trimmings that you have, any peels, really whatever you've got from dinner can go in there, and makes a beautiful tasting stock. Again, that's a little bit shorter. That one went about 8 hours. And then we come down to some of the meats here. So this is a beef stock that I made with some beef bones and oxtails that I roasted off. And then these are a couple of pork stocks. I just want to show, I'm not sure how well you can see the color difference. The one in my right hand, so on your left, is with the roasted bones and some pork shoulder. And then the one on the left is the exact same recipe, but no roasting. So you can see this is a much lighter consistency, and when you taste it, the lighter one is much more just of a clean pork taste. So really, depending on what you're using the stock for, it might tell you how much you want to roast it. You can do a light roast, you can do a saute, or you can just leave it unroasted. This would be fantastic for like a tonkatsu ramen. But the roasted pork stock would have great applications in like a sauce or a reduction to serve with your meat. So here I have 2 chicken carcasses. I also have some carrots, some onions, celery, and a whole head of garlic. Oh yeah, don't forget the chicken neck. That makes for some really nice gelatin in there. So we're going to put all that in. And I'm also going to throw some aromatics in here. A lot of times I'll put these on the bottom just so they don't float, but didn't do that here. So we've got some thyme, just fresh thyme. Some parsley we're going to stick in there. And then just a few bay leaves and some peppercorns. That is literally it. Super simple. And then, your stock's only going to be good as the water you're putting into it. I live in Redondo Beach, and our water here is terrible. So much calcium, it's really, really hard. So I always use bottled water when I'm making stock. And so we're just going to fill this up. The other nice thing about sous vide, because you are not having evaporation, you end up with a much more concentrated stock without having to do the reduction. So ultimately, you're using less water per pound of ingredients, and I'm generally going for about 4 to 5 pounds of meat in one of these containers, and that we'll do about 8 cups of water or so, maybe a little bit more. So just to make sure all that is submerged, slap our little lid on here, and then, as I said, into the APO it goes. I'm cooking at 194. And that's going to go in there for about 24 hours. If you don't have the APO, of course, you can do this in a water bath. Even using the same polycarbonate containers, put a little tin foil or something on the bottom to kind of hold it up. And then you just fill the water bath up to the level of the stock. And so that way it won't float, but you're going to get heat all the way around. Put some plastic wrap over it, and you'll have a beautiful stock. You can also, if you have Ziplocs, of course, do the water displacement method. I would double bag it because these are high temperatures, and even the freezer bags, sometimes those high temperatures have trouble. Or if you've got a chamber vacuum, separate this into a couple of bags and you're good to go. So we're going to let this kind of do its thing for 24 hours, and then we will come back and we'll strain it off, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, so our chicken stock is done. Cooked for 24 hours at 194. I'm not sure how well you can see without a light behind it, but it's a deep, rich mahogany brown. Absolutely beautiful, and the smell is incredible. I mean, you really get all those herbs that are in there. So simply, we're just going to strain this off into a bowl. Man, I wish you guys could smell this. It is absolutely amazing. And then we're just going to kind of give this a second to drain. Get as much of that goodness as we can. And you probably can't see very well inside the bowl, but there's virtually no loss. I mean, there's no reduction that happens in the sous vide bath. There's no evaporation. So you really end up with a full yield of what you put in. And the flavor is concentrated. So it's the best of both worlds. I'm going to stick that in there. I really love these kind of 4-quart Ziploc containers for this stuff. And, we're just going to fill these up. I like to cool them for a bit in an ice bath before I freeze them, just so they're not going in super hot. You can tell we've got about 8 cups right there, and I've got a little more in here. I'll have to find another container for, but I mean, so easy, such a great yield, and this stuff will really make your soups and stews and risottos and everything else you want to use it for just absolutely incredible. If you put them in the fridge first, you can kind of see this is that pork stock we did yesterday. See the layer of fat that solidifies on top. Super easy to just kind of take that off, and then you've clarified it a bit. I hope this was helpful. Really look forward to seeing what y'all do with it. Make sure you tag us on social media in our community Facebook page, and hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. We'll look forward to seeing you around this weekend.
That was a great talk about doing stocks and sous vide. It's something that a lot of us don't think about. Steaks are so common, and proteins, but there's a lot of different things you can do that have definitely different results than doing things traditionally. If you're trying to do something specific, it's a great way to accomplish it. And obviously, Mike is here, so he's going to join me up on stage, and we can barrage him with all the questions that we want. And one of the things that I saw too for stocks, it's a great way to make low quantities of stocks. If you want to do micro stocks with small amount of ingredients, it's something that you can really do to extract a lot of flavor in using small quantities of
Yeah,
things.
definitely. With at Crea, sorry, I'm just jumping in. You don't need to. I'm going to interrupt you. They had 2 lobsters that they cooked for the course, and they just blitzed the shells and used half the quantity of water. So you don't end up with a ton of stock, but it was using what you had, and the flavor was just mind-blowing. So great for those kind of micro stock opportunities for sure.
We had some good questions showing up in the chat that I wanted to run by you. So Lois asked, raw chicken.
So
raw?
I did roast it first. It wasn't raw when it went in. So I put the carcasses and the wings in there and roasted it just to get a little bit of that flavor. With the pork, I did 2 batches. I did one that I pre-roasted and one that I left raw. And actually, the raw one, there's a couple things. So with the roasted one, you kind of render some of the fat out, so less gets in the stock. But with the raw one that I put in, the flavor was so clean and just pure pork. Like for a tonkatsu ramen or a pho or something where you really just want that clean flavor. That's where I would use a raw meat if I don't want those kind of more deep, warm flavors in there.
Awesome. Christian said, I didn't realize the Nova Precision Oven could run that long. Does it need refilling?
Yes. Actually, this is the first time in the 2.5, 3 years, whatever, that I've had the APO that I ran out of water in the middle of the cook overnight, because it uses a lot. I mean, so you want to fill the tank before you go to bed and just make sure. But I ran the thing while I was testing this because I did all those batches of stock, and then I went right into like cooking for a party that we had at our house. So I think the thing ran for, I don't know, 5 days, 6 days straight without shutting off. And it was awesome. It's a workhorse.
Nice. What can you quickly say the temperatures that you were using again? People were asking about the time and
so I
temperatures.
did 194 Fahrenheit, which is 90 Celsius. On the seafood stock, I went a little bit lower at 183, I think, or 185, which is 83 Celsius, I think. And just because I figured you don't need quite as high heat, I was really trying to be careful to not pull out too much of the fishy flavors, and just get kind of the essence of it. But I think it would still work at the 185 with the other ones. I just figured getting it a little closer to the simmer temperatures would work better for like the collagen and stuff.
Awesome. And how long did you cook them for?
The meat stocks were 24 hours. The veggie stock was 8 hours, and then the lobster stock or fish stock would be about 4 hours. So I mean, and the veggie, you could certainly go longer. You can just kind of taste it as you go. I did my veggie stock again just completely raw. I didn't roast anything, which again, if you roast it, you'll get a different flavor profile. So it's really just about what you're looking to get out of it.
Nice. And you dropped in the comments about one of our sponsors, so I wanted to give you the chance. So you said Polyscience is offering 20% off?
So they're doing 20% off the Hydro Pro and the 300 series chamber vacuum. It's automatically added. You don't need a coupon code. As soon as you add it to your cart and then go to checkout, you'll see it during checkout. But we posted some links in the chat. They are affiliate links, so just know that we're getting a small commission off of those. If you decide to use them, you can also just go straight to their website if you don't want us to get a commission, and we're good with that. But they're incredible. My Hydro Pro is coming this week, and I cannot wait to get it.
Yeah, I will say that I use the Control Freak all the time. You can see it on top of my stove because I use that instead of my mediocre gas stove that came with my apartment. I did get that for testing, so that was something that I was given. But the Hydro Pro Plus is the first circulator I've actually bought for myself, and that's just because I was really excited by using the Polyscience equipment because I've loved the old ones. So it's I can't recommend it more, and it's also nice knowing Dave is there and really cares. We'll hear a lot more from Chef Petranza.
Yeah, I use the Control Freak in my grab bag dish tomorrow too, and I'll make sure I post that link. I mean, it's mind blowing. It's so good in so many ways.
Well, awesome, Mike. I appreciate the video and obviously you putting the entire event together. Thank you for coming up and answering some questions.